Chris and Mary Rodwell, her mother and son. Their relationship is at a critical stage as a result of a deeply held belief that has torn the family apart and changed their lives forever.
Mum started getting involved in some interesting stuff about 20 years ago. And how old would I have been? We've had a family separation. My dad really wasn't into it at all. I don't like to think of Mum as a crackpot. It'd be really good if she could prove to me that she wasn't.
Well, it's cost me certainly my marriage, and I think that it's changed every belief I've ever had.
She is now in danger of permanently damaging her relationship with her son.
I'm soon told by Chris if he doesn't want to hear any more about it. He makes it quite clear.
It is a large part of your life that I can't share.
My desire is for him to just at least understand why this has become important to me. More than anything, I think that's just, would like some understanding of that.
This belief is not about race, religion or sexuality. It's something quite different.
It's so out there, it's so sort of wacky, you know. I mean, you know, people do a lot of crazy things and have lots of crazy experiences, but I mean, this is literally off the planet, you know. We're sort of, you know, we're dealing with a whole nother sort of element there, and in the middle of it all is Mum.
Mary Rodwell is one of the world's leading alien abduction counsellors. She's in demand all over the world and is constantly travelling, giving advice, lectures and public appearances.
Well, I counsel and offer support to people who have interactions with non-human intelligences. Some people would say that's extraterrestrial beings.
Her son Chris is a man of science. He works as a vet and empirical evidence rules his world.
It's all good. I love science, you know, the method behind it. And I mean, the problem really is that for the last 20 years, me and Mum have had this sort of conflict between us. I'm coming at it from one angle, she's coming at it from the other. She's really passionate about it, she believes. I don't.
I believe these advanced intelligences have been visiting this planet since the dawn of time, and I believe they're here to assist our evolution to another level now.
The ultimate evidence would be seeing one of these little dudes walking around, little grey guy, you know. I somehow think it isn't going to happen. I'd love the opportunity to be proved wrong.
Chris has given his mum a challenge. Prove to me that you're not crazy and that aliens exist, or the subject is closed forever.
So it's a really crucial point in my relationship with Mum. I want her to convince me after all this time that she's not crazy, you know.
Mary has grabbed the opportunity to prove her case with both hands. She has set up a schedule traversing Australia to immerse him in the alien community, and she is confident she will be able to convert him into a believer.
More than anything, it would be wonderful for my son to realise that this isn't Mum just going on some airy-fairy kind of mission, you know, to make her life interesting in her latter years. But in fact, it's because it is so vital that everyone understands that there are people hurting all over the planet that have nowhere to go, and I'm just one person that can actually offer that support. So I'd like my son to understand, more than anything, how important and why this is important, and for him to understand the reality for himself, because actually we're all involved in this.
Chris is flying from his home in Melbourne to Gladstone in Queensland before driving to his mum's home and office in Agnes Waters.
It's always been a source of conflict for me and Mum, or sort of, should I say, you know, sort of one of those things, you know, in families you just don't go there, you know. It's kind of like at the Christmas roast and things. You don't, certain subjects taboo, you don't talk about. And this is one of them, and I think it's because it's one of those things that there's a lot sort of bound up in it. Or a lot of this sort of stuff, you know, heralds back to Mum and Dad splitting up, and, you know, sort of I think there's been a sort of natural resentment for me to kind of really want to go there, as well as the fact I find the subject, you know, quite sort of hard to sort of get my head around.
Chris has arrived at his first destination, his mum Mary's home and counselling rooms.
All right, where are they?
Oh, hello.
Where are the aliens?
My gorgeous lad.
There you going, Mum?
Oh, mwah.
Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too.
You got the kettle on?
Oh, yeah. I'll get it on in 2 minutes.
All
Do you
right.
want it now or in a minute?
Well, I'll just dump my bag if you want to. Yeah, I'd be lying to say that I wasn't nervous. I mean, this is a lady that's written books. She tours all over the world, and she's been to places like Oxford University and debated high-level academics and the president of the Skeptic Society, and she's beaten them. Got any freshly baked scones for me?
Oh, yes. That and the whole banquet, my darling. You know what I do for you, don't you?
All right.
Hey?
No worries.
All right.
Do you think that people out in the suburbs, you know, working in Woolies or holding down a job, raising their kids, what relevance is that to them? Do you think that you know, I mean, is it going to be, you know what I mean? Like, it might be, even if it's happening,
Yeah.
let's say it's happening, you know, what relevance is it to somebody, you know, that, you know, possibly there are people or things out there that are visiting planet Earth when they've got to put, you know, pay the mortgage? Do you reckon people care? I mean, really? Do you think they do? Or is it just a certain selection of people that care?
I'll tell you the relevance, because some of those people are having experience and encounters with these beings and they think they're going crazy. Housewives with children that are talking about going through walls. That's why it's relevant, because they think they're going crazy and are too afraid to even speak about it. My clients, you know, are people that, you know, paint your house. They're people that build your houses. They're farmers. They're young children. They're teachers. They're people that think they're crazy, are too afraid to even speak about it. And they're the people that come to me. So that's
Mary is desperate to get on with presenting her case, and before they set off on the road trip, she has brought her first witness to her house to tell Chris his story. Greg Lenole is ex-Navy. He claims to have been abducted by aliens and been on board a spacecraft. Today, Chris will get to witness a counselling session and hear Greg's account firsthand.
Hey, Mary.
Hi there, Greg. Good to see you. Oh, well, welcome, welcome. I know it's a bit cold today. I've got the heater on downstairs, and I've got someone I want you to meet.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll go down there and. Well, Greg, this is my beautiful son, Christopher.
Greg.
And,
How are you? How you going?
Greg, I've known here now for the last year, and he's had some really interesting experiences, and I think I've questioned everything. I've also gone through a process that my clients have gone through, because when they finally start to believe maybe they're not crazy and maybe this is real, and if that's the case, everything they've ever believed in has to be reappraised.
It was about 1967. I'm 7 years old, 6.5, 7 years old, something like that. It's about 5:30 or something, like 6 o'clock. And to the south of us, there was this, what looked like a ball about this big in the sky. Kind of reddish colour, you know. And as I'm looking at it, I've said to my dad was there, and I said, "Hey Dad, what's that?" And he goes, "I don't know." He says, "Maybe the Air Force have something like this." Well, as it, within a few moments, this thing's just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, till finally it was like, well, it was right on the football field. It was huge. Like the football field, there was more of it going out past the main road. The red is now really strong. Also the sun's starting to set a bit more, but the red colour is really strong. And this craft, it was kind of an oval shape. There's a couple of hundred people underneath this thing and around it, looking at it. And then Dad says, "It's time for dinner. Come on, boys, it's time for dinner." And I was like, time for dinner. So we start heading in. What I noticed then was that literally everyone turned at the same time. And instead of actually, you know, like either running or something like that, they just all turned at the same time and very calmly walked back to their houses. I'm sort of lagging behind, and I just really want to look at this thing, because I've never seen anything like it, you know. And it's like spitting out all this phosphorus, right? And it's like, hey, wow, it's really bright. And what it does, it comes over the top of you, and it literally lifts you up. And what was really interesting is, I didn't remember going through any doors, right? It was like you were materialised or dematerialised or something. And then, so when I'm inside there, this craft is really big, like, you know, several stories high. Like, I'm not the only person who went on this craft, okay? Those kids didn't actually walk off, okay? This is where we start getting a bit weird now.
It's already been pretty weird, so.
Okay, all right.
It was a mixture of interest and kind of and trying to sort of go is, you know, sorting out, you know, what seemed to be incredibly rational, credible descriptions from something that's like out of the movies. Very passionate kind of guy, and I think utterly convinced about what he saw or what he thinks he saw.
And it literally lifts you up.
But there is something in Greg's testimony that has Chris intrigued, and he can't dismiss it out of hand.
You get hyper-fed information. I can have a conversation with an astrophysicist with no problem whatsoever. Yeah, I can understand physics, no problem whatsoever. I understand all of this stuff. Never, ever, ever did any of that. I was an F-grade student.
I mean, he's describing to me about, you know, black hole, like high-level astrophysics. Now, he seems to have more than just a brushstroke idea of a lot of this stuff. You're positive you haven't dreamed any of this. This is kind of like, this is, you know...
The biggest question I ever asked was this a dream?
Yeah.
More often than not, I've asked this. In fact, until I met Mary and a few other people, wackos here like me, you know, I never really spoke this to anyone because it's just too out there, mate. You know, like he's this fruitlet, thinks he gets picked up by spaceships and aliens.
Greg is a very credible witness, and despite her reservations about their validity, Mary has arranged for Gavin Wilson, a polygraph tester for the federal police who trained with the FBI, to come and conduct a polygraph test with Greg in an attempt to give Chris the empirical evidence he craves.
What I've been asked to test you on today is about your contact with UFOs or aliens, and we want to find out whether you've definitely seen those, okay?
Bit of science, Mum. You've got a bit of a bugbear around science in general. So.
No, I haven't, not in the slightest. But I'll tell you...
Mum, you have?
Yeah.
You do have?
No, only when I think it's limited.
In the last 20 years of your life, did you ever tell a serious lie to someone you loved?
No.
A lot is riding on the result of the polygraph test.
I think he's going to pass the lie detector test. I've got no doubt. I think we'll see that as a clear pass.
Do you intend to deliberately lie to any test question?
No.
If we're talking about finally accepting on this planet that we're not alone in the universe, it's bigger than anything else humanity can take on board. Just think about it. Finally, you know, we're not at the top of the intelligence pyramid. Oh my God, how are we going to deal with that? And what does that mean about what we understand about ourselves and our history? Because they've been visiting us for millennia.
Okay.
Have you definitely been inside a UFO?
I think he's going to pass the lie detector test. I think utterly convinced about what he saw or what he thinks he saw.
Are you 100% certain you've seen a UFO?
Yes.
I've run a support group where someone's come in and they've nearly had a heart attack because the person they're seeing in front of them is someone they recognise. And guess where they've recognised them? They've recognised them from being on the craft.
Okay, Greg, test is now over. Let's get the stuff off you. Greg, according to the polygraph, these things have never happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they are fantasy?
Well, I don't know whether fantasy is the word that I would use.
So what am I seeing in a regression?
Well, we'll go into that.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot more work, you know, and that's it.
Okay, so this is my video diary for the first day. Greg, really interesting guy, lovely guy. I think he's probably a little bit confused. I guess the problem with it was something which is measuring conscious kind of stuff or conscious memories, and his would seem to be, if there's anything at all there, that it's not conscious.
I think the whole scientific side of testing whether they tell the truth is very difficult actually for this particular experience, because when you are in an altered state, in other words a trance-like state, it's almost like, you know, you're being drugged. You know, it's very hard then to know what's real.